All right, if you're in the security world, you know the game has totally changed. The old ways of just checking static PII, well, they're not cutting it anymore. So today, we're going to unpack a modern playbook for fighting fraud, one that's built on a dynamic, powerful defense, analyzing digital signals in real time.
You know, this quote from our source material, it just perfectly frames the challenge, doesn't it? Modern fraud isn't some big, loud battering ram. No, it's more like water. It's persistent, it's fluid, and it's always looking for the smallest crack to slip through in your defenses.
So think about the old playbook, checking a name, an address, a social security number against some database. That's like building a brick wall and just hoping for the best. But fraudsters are dynamic. They adapt. So our defenses have to be dynamic too.
So how do we actually build a defense that can keep up? Well, it all starts by shifting our focus. We need to move away from static verification and start looking at the real-time analysis of risk signals. This is our new frontline.
First things first, let's get on the same page about what a risk signal even is. Just think of it as a piece of digital evidence. Every time a user interacts with your service, they're generating these little data points: an IP address, how long it took them to fill out a form, the history of their phone number. On their own, they're just data. But when you put them together, they become the building blocks of a really smart fraud prevention system.
And these signals, they basically fall into three main buckets. You've got your passive signals, which are collected in the background, kind of stealthy, like the user's device type or IP address. Then there are behavioral signals, which look at how a user is behaving. Are they copying and pasting information, filling out a form way too fast for a human? And finally, active signals. This is when you step in and explicitly ask for something, like an ID upload or a selfie. A really solid strategy uses all three together.
Now, all these signals are useful, for sure, but there's one piece of digital PII that, well, it's arguably the most powerful and data-rich asset you've got in your entire arsenal, and that's the user's phone number.
And that's a fair question, right? You might just think of it as a way to contact someone. But in today's digital world, a phone number is so much more. It's become a deep proxy for identity and trust, and it carries this whole history with it that can tell you an incredible amount about the person on the other end.
There's actually a really simple but powerful way to analyze all that phone intelligence. It's called the PRO model, and it just boils everything down to three core pillars: possession, reputation, and ownership. Let's unpack this a bit. Possession is all about asking one simple question: does the user physically have their device with them right now? Ownership is about confirming that the user is the legitimate subscriber for that phone number. And reputation, well, that's where we dive into the number's history, looking for any suspicious patterns or risky behaviors.
Now, of these three pillars, reputation is often where the real magic happens. It's where you uncover the most sophisticated fraud. See, a fraudster might be able to spoof possession or fake ownership for a short time, but it's way, way harder to fake a long, stable, trustworthy history. The past behavior of a phone number is an incredibly powerful predictor of its future risk.
So what actually makes up that reputation? Well, it's all about signals like these. Is it a disposable virtual VoIP number or a standard mobile line from a major carrier? How long has the number been active? And this is a huge one. Has there been a recent SIM swap, which could mean a fraudster hijacked the number? Every single one of these data points adds another critical layer to your risk assessment. And when you put them side by side, the difference is just night and day. On the left, you see the digital DNA of a legit user, long history, stable, trustworthy. On the right, you see a collection of massive red flags that scream high risk. It's not about one signal, it's about how they all combine to paint a clear picture. Okay, now I've got a number for you that might actually blow your mind. Ready? 35 million. That is how many phone numbers are recycled and reassigned to new people in the US every single year. That's almost 10% of all phone numbers.
And here's why that's a huge problem. A Princeton study found that 2/3 of these recycled numbers were still linked to the previous owner's accounts online. This creates a gigantic vulnerability, where things like password resets and two-factor authentication codes get sent to the wrong person. It's a perfect backdoor for account takeover.
Okay, so the phone is huge, absolutely. But it's not the whole story. A truly robust fraud strategy layers that phone intelligence with all the other signals from a user's entire digital footprint: their email, their IP address, even their device. And here's the thing you absolutely have to remember. Context is everything. You can't just look at these signals in a vacuum. For example, a brand new email address might seem a little suspicious, right? But as you're about to see, A new Gmail account is a totally different story than a new AOL account.
Take a look at this data. It shows you exactly why context is king. The chance of any random Gmail address being less than 3 years old is over 20%, pretty common. But for an AOL address, it's under 4%. What that means is that a newly created AOL email is a much more suspicious signal, just because it's such a rare event. See? Context changes the entire meaning of the signal.
All right, so we've talked a lot about signals and analysis. Now for the fun part, putting it all into action. The goal here is to build a dynamic defense that applies something called intelligent friction.
And here's the core idea. The goal isn't to just throw up roadblocks and make life difficult for everyone. That's the old way. A dynamic system is all about precision. It lets your good, legitimate customers fly through with zero hassle, while automatically stepping up the security only for those interactions that actually seem risky.
So in the real world, this basically creates 3 different paths a user can go down. You have the low-risk path, where all the signals look great. Then there's medium risk, maybe there are a few minor flags, like they're using a new device. And then you have high risk, where multiple serious red flags are popping up, like a recent SIM swap combined with a burner phone.
And of course, each of those paths has its own automated outcome. The low-risk users, they get approved instantly, no friction at all. The medium-risk users might get a simple step-up challenge, like an OTP sent to their phone. And the high-risk users, they get routed to a manual review or even declined outright. This protects your platform without frustrating your best customers. It's the best of both worlds.
So what's the big takeaway here for you as a security professional? It means your whole mandate is evolving. You're shifting from being a pure defender to being a proactive strategist.
Think about it. You're no longer just a guard who builds static walls and waits for an attack. You're now the architect of an intelligent, adaptive defense network that can see and analyze signals in real time and respond to threats the moment they appear.
And that really is the final question you should be asking yourself. Is your current fraud strategy just a static wall, or is it an intelligent, adaptive network? Because the answer to that question is going to define your success against the next generation of fraud. Thanks for tuning in.